This is your girl, Pastor Sheila. Welcome to Queen Sheila Talks. I am excited. I am very happy about what we're going to be talking about today. You ever felt like going back to the things that have happened and you feel like, okay, I need to talk about those things that have happened a very long time ago that brought enlightenment, growth, healing, though at the time they were happening, they were not the best things that you wanted to go through. I've also learned that you will derive life lessons from the things that you have gone through that drastically touched your life or changed your life. So I want to share something that happened to me in 2014. In 2014, I think it was the 19th of May. I had a very bad car accident. I was on my way to Bloemfontein. Just as the at the entrance of Bloemfontein, I had the car accident. There are many definitions to what happened, but I remember was when I was approaching the Roberts in Bloemfontein, something happened. There was a car that was coming my back, coming on the side and everything. And I really do not remember what happened. But the last time um uh, uh just before the accident, I called Jesus after the car just went and swinged outside of the road, and it was uncontrollable going on the other side. And I just called Jesus, and I believe that is what saved me that day and the people that I was driving for. So, some things in that happened in this accident taught me life lessons that today I carry and I hold dearly in my life. Though it happened in a tragic accident, something so bad, something that nearly claimed my life and the lives of people that I was striving for, but it has also taught me something that is valuable. And I want to share these lessons that I learned in that accident. Number one, the first thing that I learned in that accident, let me narrate for you my work at that time, what I was doing, and everything. I was at the peak of my career. I'm a writer, I'm an author, and I'm a professional spoken word smith or poet, I would say. Yeah. So at that time, I was at the peak of my career. There was so much response, not only in my country, people outside, as far as America, everybody was just buzzing because of the movement I had started, and it was growing tremendously. I used to have events for this and host people that were outside, renowned poets or writers or authors that were outside of my territory, and they would just come here and people would just come for it, and it was beautiful. And it meant more companies were aware of you. It meant that there were more people that were aware of me at that time. There are more people that wanted to be, wanted you to have an input in their events, in their writings, in their every single thing that they were doing that was in line with what I did. So I ended up like speaking, I ended up speaking in a couple of events, people wanting to hear my story, where I come from, the energy, the fire that I had for what I did, which I still do this year. We are using every single gift. I have not let it down. I just needed to go through the process of what God needed me to go through so that I understand why the gift, why do I have all that, and so that I serve with it the way that it is supposed to serve. So at that time, this is where I was. It means that I was traveling frequently. I was in and out, and people were receiving my work tremendously. And yeah, so that day of the accident, I had just had an event in one of the districts here in Masoro. I know in South Africa it's a province, yeah, but here in Masoro it's called a district, and we had just had an event at that district where we were publicizing launching a young man at that time, a young boy who had the same tenacity and fire for poetry, and he had also written his book. So we were really supporting him in his gift and his craft. So I had like a friend from Bloemfontein and her colleague who was also in the same category or the same department of writing. So I was driving them back to Bloemfontein, and this is what happened, and that is how the accident happened. So the lessons I learned in that accident, number one, was to understand and categorize relationships accordingly. One of the things that taught me in that time when I had the accident was that I began to see a lot of people withdrawing from me. I was mostly at home. I had dislocated bones on my neck. My back was also affected. um like I couldn't sit by myself. My mom had to help me, bath me most of the time, and all that. So a lot of people did not even care to come and see that I believed, or maybe I believed at that time, had to come and see me. And this is what I learned: when you make relationships, you need to understand them. What kind of relationship is this? Many a times when we go into relationships, whatever kind of relationship that we go into, either business, friendship, or other relationships that you can go into, but mainly in my case, these were people that I had maybe taken now as family and as friends, that I expected maybe when I went through something that they would come through. But I realized that where I had put these people, it was not where they had put me. Meaning that when I went through the kind of stuff, or the darkness, or the painful times in my life, they would not be available because they had not put me where I had put them. So I learned in that very season to understand relationships that you are in, so that, or should you go through something, you will not be expectant of people, or such people, to be there with you in that time, or to have the patience to be there with you at that time. People disappeared, and they disappeared because they were they were acting according to how they had perceived or put me in their lives. For them, I was just the wordsmith, and I could be available for them when they wanted me to be available, with the skills and with the capacity that I have. So when I could no longer give that, they could no longer be around me. And one of the things that also taught me with relationships is people that love you for what you have, and people that love you for who you are. I realized that a lot of people then really did love me for what I had. I had their ability to entertain. I had the voice. I had the knowledge. I'm a reader. I love reading a lot. So I was able to what to enlighten a lot of people, I would say that. So they loved what I had and not who I am. People that love you for who you are will always be there. Even when you change your career, even when you change your location. I've heard relationships or friendships that died because somebody relocated, and they're like, no, I could not go that far. And you just look at the far is just 20 minutes or 15 minutes apart. It's because those people had already put you in a certain place. You were in their life for convenience. You were closer, so they could be able, or they were able to talk to you or something like that. It is so important to define relationships in our lives. Learn patterns in relationships. I always say, for before the big thing happens, the small things that happen along the way that you need to be aware of. Walk in awareness and take that awareness for real. When you realize something, take it for real. The kind of relationships you are in, the kind of relationships that you are in, is it somebody who can call you and say, how you doing? I was just checking up on you. This is just a checkup call. There is nothing. I don't need us to go out. I don't need us to gossip. I don't need us to do anything. I am actually there to, I'm actually calling you to check up on you on how you're doing. Or somebody who just out of the blue say, hey girl, or hey guy, can we go out for coffee on me? People that will go out of their way just to be around you, not because at that time you are in your best or there's something that you have done for them, but because they feel that there is something good they need to be doing to you or for you. So, and the relationship that you need to see that, okay, the only time that this person calls me, it's because they want something from me. It's either they want me to borrow, they want to borrow money, or they want an advice. Always they are calling because they want prayer always, or they want an advice, or they want to lift somewhere or things like that. And you don't need to be mad when you have those kind of relationships. You just need to understand them and put them in that category, so that when things happen you don't become mad, because the person that you are doing something for today, the person that you give maybe a lift today, tomorrow can buy a car and not even want to give you a lift. And it's okay, but you need to understand those relationships and be comfortable with them, so that the day you say no to the person that is always demanding something from you, you don't feel bad about it, like maybe you have done something wrong. No, you would not have done something wrong. You would be exercising your demarcation lines or boundaries, which is what we're going to talk about, that I learned also in this season when I had that accident. But you would be exercising that to say, okay, I can go this far, I won't go out of my way to this level. When you understand that relationship in this 2022, I believe that we are so woke and so aware that we need to walk in awareness of relationships that we had. I've heard people that will come to me at the office, um on the office, coming for counseling and prayer and all that. They'll tell me, I used to work and I had a lot of people that were on my side that wanted to be my friends and everything, and the day I stopped working they disappeared. It's because those people were in your relationship in that time, because of the environment that you were in. But there are people that will still come for you even when you no longer work. Those are the people that are for keeps. Read patterns. I repeat, read patterns throughout. In the good times, read those patterns of people that will just be there, people that will just go out of their way to come to your house and check up on you and stay with you that day. When I had my accident, my friend, the closest friend I have, in when I had that accident, I'm so grateful that I had her. What she would leave her workplace and come and sit with me in my bedroom. And there was nothing I was offering at that time. I was sedated most of the time because of the heavy medication I was taking. And most of the time it means I was quiet. I was not talking like this. I was not neither talkative either, because even in that time, in that silent moment, that is where I also developed my relationship with God. Like, responded. It doesn't mean God had not been speaking. He had been speaking, but that was the only time that I really responded to what God had been saying for a long time. So she would just sit with me there and just sleep by my side, and I knew this is the girl, this is somebody I know, this is my rock, this is a true friend that I had at that time. What kind of relationships do you have in your good seasons and in your bad seasons? You need to read patterns now, especially if you are in your up moment now. Go and learn those relationships. Are the relationships that I have going to be there when I am no longer serving what I serve now, having what I have now? Go and read those relationships and make decisions on the patterns that you are learning right now. Number two that I learned when I had the accident was that the hearts of people, people became honest. There's something that happens when people think you are no longer strong or maybe as valuable as they thought you were. They're no longer afraid of you in that moment when you are in your low moment. And people's hearts were revealed. People said what they wanted or felt or anything. Even to have had a car driving at that time. There are people that will really express themselves at that time, and I learned people people's hearts. This is specific incidents I remember, or somebody just coming to me and saying, you nearly killed people. I'm aware. I was driving these people, including my very friend and very friend and two other, my friend and other friend in Bloemfontein, and her colleague, the acquaintance was also in the same platform that we were in. So it means I was very, very aware. So people would say insensitive things at that time. They would say their hearts, finally, this is what is going on. Finally, see, she will learn the hard word or anything like that. It is not that they loved you. It's because they've been holding all these things, but they were afraid of saying them at their time. Now they are saying them in your low moment. Watch people that say negative things when you are in your low moment. It might be temporary lawlessness. You understand? You might be low in just a day you woke up and you're not feeling okay. Watch what people say at that time, and you will know that in that time when you're really, really low or going through a very hard season, you will get what you will get from them. Number three that I learned in that time of accident is boundaries. Oh my God. I I had to learn boundaries. There are people that will demand of you even when you're on your deathbed, even when you no longer can give it the way that you would want to give it. But there are people that will demand. I had to come to a point when I'm like, I'm going to ignore this message. I'm not going to take this phone call, because there are people that knew very well the state that I was in, but they will call and say, can you please edit something, or can you please do given a forward on this, or something like that. People were always demanding even when I was not in a position to give. And I want to say that if you're in a leadership position, I think in a later stage I will share about the persecution that I went through, and you will understand why you need to have boundaries. Have boundaries. Choose yourself over and over again. If something is going to destroy you, you better stop and choose yourself at that moment. And I had to learn boundaries because the demands were still great. Yet there was so little that I could give. And I told myself, I am not going to respond to these people. I actually caught a lot of people that would come, messages would just come in, and they would just be demanding, can you do this? Can you do what? Can you do this? Can you do what? Mm, and I just cut it. And one of the things that I also learned, that there are good things that I learned in that time, was the stillness and silence. That stillness and silence helped me in my relationship with God. I knew people that told me, even as a young girl, that I was called and all that, but I felt like I'm content where I am. I'm actually very content with the person I am and the things that I am doing. And it helped me, that stillness helped me to confront things that I never did confront even when I was young. It really helped me to grow my relationship with God, to really start taking my relationship and the call of God upon my life seriously. I was able to hear the voice of God differently. I will share about it some other day, the experience of hearing the voice of God clearly and loudly for the very first time, how it felt. I was able to let go. Oh my God, it was so beautiful to finally let go. So the stillness, the peace that came with the stillness, the silence actually helped me with my work with God and the new season that God wanted to open in my life, and He made me and prepared me for it. This year is the year that you need to be aware of relationships that you had. The relationships that you don't need to have at all, that you don't even need to, those ones that you just like, okay, I know this is what she wants, but I like her or I like him, is a friend or she's a friend. But the relationships that you don't need to have at all, at all. This year, be intentional about relationships. From me, Queen Sheila, thank you so, so much for joining me today. I believe that you got something, and we are going to walk in our relationships.